Hello and welcome to the Petticoated Swashbuckler. My name is Maren and today we're making a coat. It is January, and for those of you who are new to this channel, I live in Norway, which means it's pretty cold and snowy. Most of the winter we can expect it to be like cold and snowy and wintry for at least like 3 more months, maybe more, where I live. And I'm a Norwegian, I've grown up with this, I am prepared. I know that the way to survive the winter is good clothing, proper clothing. I have a thick coat that's very warm but not necessarily very stylish, and then I have a stylish coat that is not as warm as the other one but still warm enough, and that looks good. Only I took it out a couple of weeks ago, and to my surprise, my coat that I bought like, I don't know, 12 years ago is not stylish anymore. In fact, it's becoming a little haggard. It's the fabric is not 100% wool, so it's kind of piling in unsightly ways. It's lost a lot of buttons. The lining has torn along like a back seam. It's just not looking good anymore. So I thought, why not make a coat, a winter coat? And I found a pattern that I fell in love with, which is this one from Mrs. Depew. I think the pattern is for like 1935, and so I started looking through her. She has a lot of manuals, Mrs. Depew, from period sewing manuals, and I started looking through them, seeing if there were any manuals that I thought would be, helpful to me. And I found one. I think it's originally from the 20s, but it kind of bleeds over into the 30s a little bit, and it is absolutely amazing. And it's a tailoring manual, and it's meant for like teaching tailoring because it's got exam questions in the back, which a lot of them apparently have. And I really wanted to try my hand at a bit of tailoring. I've tried some making a bicycle suit, but I want to try more because that was so much fun. So I decided to use this pattern and then try all these fancy tailoring techniques that I found in this manual. Now the pattern is only one size, so I'll need to size that up. I've never done that, but I read a lot about it, and I felt like, yeah, I can do this, I'm ready. And then all of this was my thought process like 3 weeks ago, by the way. And then I kind of stopped. And I kept thinking about like wanting to make this coat, but not actually wanting to start to make it. And then I realized after a while, I don't know if you're like me, but if a task seems too big, I just won't do it. Like, I'll fret about it a lot, but I'll just never start because it feels too overwhelming. So I decided that the way to kind of start, get going, basically, the way to get started with this project was to remove one of the scary bits. Now, I've never done tailoring, so that's one scary bit. I've never done sizing up, so that's another scary bit. So I had a look around, and on what's it called? Recreating History? I can't remember right now, sorry, I'll link it down below. I found a commercial multi-size pattern that is similar enough that I think I can make a mock-up and then kind of hack it to look like the coat I want. So I'll do that instead. And that was like removing one kind of scary bit. Motivation right back. Is it objectively more difficult to size a coat up than to kind of adjust and hack one from another pattern? Possibly not, but pattern hacking I've done before, so that's not so scary, So that's what we'll do. I have the pattern, I will make a mock-up, and I'll try to fix the mock-up to look as much like the other pattern as possible. I have got my fabric ready, and I went out and bought fabric, and then I read the manual, and then I went out and bought some more fabric because what I have is not nearly enough for all the structure that goes into a coat like this. But I do have, one moment, I do have this lovely black wool. It is made in Norway, it's 100% wool, and it's just so lovely, and it's a little bit waterproof, it feels like, and it's beautiful. I'm really looking forward to making a coat out of this. So this will be like the outer fabric of my coat. I will cut all like the back and front pieces and the sleeves from this one. It's really heavy, but I will not, it will have a collar and lapels that you can sort of turn back so that it'll need a facing, but I will not make my facing out of this. I will make my facing, hang on a moment, out of this one. This is a cotton velvet. It famously horrible to film because it just eats light. But I think this will be gorgeous for like the lapels and the collar, because the coat is black, just to make it a little more interesting, a little bit sort of texture to play around with. I do need lining, and I have this nice, like almost tomato soup red silk that I've used some of it. I haven't used all of it, I probably won't use all of it, and it will make a perfect lining. I saw an interview with Julie Andrews where she talked about her Mary Poppins costumes, and how the costume designer, who was her then husband, on purpose made her costumes quite stern on the outside, but then once you kind of she like made a swing of a coat or something, you can see that the linings of her coats and her clothing made of really like fancy, luxurious, colourful fabrics, and I really like that idea of having a very stern black coat with like a flashy bright red silk lining, so it'll be fun. And then we come to the bits that I know nothing about, or at least very, very little. The manual calls for a separate, like a third secret layer. I'm gonna be like Batman, I'll have a secret layer. Sorry, bad pun. Secret layer that gives all the structure to the coat. And they recommend using a linen canvas for that. So I've got linen canvas. This is quite sturdy, but it's still very like soft and pliable. You can still like move this around a bit, which is what the instructions ask for, so I'm happy with that. I have also got, hang on, this, which I've actually used before. I've used this in some of my 18th century clothing. This is actually horsehair linen. I think it's a linen and maybe some polyester or cotton, but woven like that way, but then on the sort of straight across they've woven in the tail hair of horses, and that means that this is a very, you know, the way that the where the horse hair goes this way, it folds up very easily, whereas the other way where the horse hair goes it has a lot more like spring to it, and this is recommended for some of the more like sturdy, I guess, parts of the innards. I have also got some padding that I won't be dragging down from. I'm eyeing it on the top of my closet, my fabric stash, I won't get it down now because that would involve a lot of climbing, but I will use that for some of the padding. There's going to be some padding like around the arm side, and that's like to pad out like this side of the chest, and also some on the shoulders. This is very exciting. So I think a plan of action is 1, make a mock-up, and 2, fit that mock-up, and then cut all the pieces and start sewing. Wanna come along? Okay, so I've made a mock-up. I'm fairly happy with how this fits. The collar, the pattern is marked like a fold line where the collar is supposed to fold. That is not where it folds on me, but that's fine. I'd rather have it fold. I'd rather work with it so that it looks nice on me and feels good, rather than like having it fit the pattern. You know what I mean? Same with these. The only real change I've made to the pattern is that this side is like the pattern suggests, with a small dart at the shoulder and another dart at the waist. The other side I've actually cut open, just removing the darts altogether, sewn that together, and you know what? I think I prefer this side. I think I'll actually separate this pattern piece into like two pieces, a front and a side front. The back I think looks good. And it feels nice. It feels kind of loose. I will wear it with a belt, but I like the fit of it. It feels like I can actually fit clothing underneath it. I have not put on the sleeves, and I will show you why in a minute. Just wait. This is one of the sleeves. It's the same pattern as the rest of the coat. The rest of the coat is roomy. The sleeves, this is not a thick dress, by the way. This top, fairly thin. I cannot physically drag the sleeve far enough up on my arm to actually reach the arm side. Like, it does not matter how I like turn it. I've tried it with no sweater on. It just doesn't budge. This annoys me, and I'll tell you why. It annoys me because I feel like the people who scale up patterns commercially, and you know, one thing is patterns, but also the clothing that you find in stores, they basically just like enlarge them the same amount all over, whereas I don't usually need a lot of enlargement in the bust. Some people do. I don't need the pattern to be, some people want it to be widened but not lengthened. I carry more weight on my arms than I do on my shoulders, so to me it makes very little sense to enlarge the pattern this way as much as this way, you know. So I will recut a mock-up for these sleeves because this is ridiculous. Make some bigger ones and try those on, but I feel like this fits me. It feels good, feels okay. There is another slight issue, which is you can't see because of where the camera is, but this, like the front opening overlaps. However, beneath this button it kind of splits open, which is good because I need that room to like walk in. However, I feel like the split is a little too much. So I think what I'll do is I'll actually add like a little triangle. If this veers off this way, I'll add a little triangle going down to like fill that in. So essentially the front skirt, instead of going straight down, will flare out at the hem a little bit. But apart from that, it's cool. I like it. I like the width of it. I like the length of it. It's almost to my ankles, which is nice. Very warm and lovely. I'm going to mark the fold line. Mark my tentative button placements. And then we're going to try and draft some bigger sleeves because... Alright, we have a sleeve and it is a much better sleeve. This one I can actually move in, which is great because that's what I want to do in a coat. This is not how it's going to look in the end, by the way. This is going to be eased in, so all of this fullness won't be like up here, but distributed all over like the shoulder area. I think perhaps the shoulder seam, on me now, the shoulder seam sits here. I think it should sit a little further in. I'm just looking at my viewfinder to see that I'm showing you correctly. I think that my shoulder seam needs to be there. So about a centimetre in, approximately. So I think I will do that on this pattern. I'll adapt that. This, by the way, is a proper Franken sleeve. I expanded it the way I hoped I wouldn't have to with any of these patterns. Remember, that's why I'm using a multi-size pattern. By like cutting the sleeve pattern up and then spreading out the pieces and redrawing it. And even then, it was too... that gave me like enough width here that I wanted. But it was still too tight here, so I've actually added like, can you see, like a tiny little gore. This won't be in the finished sleeve. I'll recut this so that I have one sleeve seam instead of like a gore. But still, I found that quite interesting. Other than that, there's not much more I need to like fix. I need to fix the elbow, where the elbow fullness is, because at the moment it's like here, which is not where my elbow is, as you can tell. So I need to move that down. I need to move the shoulder line a little up, and then I think we might almost be ready to cut our fabric. Exciting. All my pattern pieces fitted. I am now ready to start cutting. And according to this little fantastic book, it goes through like so much detail, including how you should cut your pattern. And it gives a really helpful like guide to how you could cut a pattern, how you cut your fabric if there isn't like a right side up or down on your fabric. So I think I'll start by doing that. I need to cut from my wool. Oh, this is my lovely wool. I need to cut from this the pockets with a little pocket flap. The sleeves. I need to cut a front. This is the collar. Yes, I need to cut that as well from the wool because, okay, the collar is going to be constructed in like 3 layers, and the top layer is going to be the nice velvet, and the middle layer is going to be canvas, and then the under layer is going to be the wool, so I need collar as well. This is my side front, gonna need that.
my back and then my side back. Yes, okay. So all of that needs to be cut from the wall. I'm then going to cut the front facing, which is going to be the same pattern piece basically as the front, because that covers like the reverse. And the colour piece, the upper colour, that is going to be from the velvet. And then I cut the lining from my silk. Yeah, let's do it. It's actually really late at night now, and I should be in bed, but this has just been really interesting. I have cut all the coat pieces, all the lining pieces, and the sort of facing of the collar and the lapels. Couldn't think of the word there. And I've now started, just my assistant. I'm now I've drawn up what the book call the makings of the coat. And it is basically, I'll show you. This bit here, this big pale bit, this is the front. That's going to go all the way down into the front of the coat. And that bit there is the collar. And everything here is, the fabric is folded, so there's going to be two of everything, almost everything. Then we have, not sure if you can really see it well, but this piece here, this is the front of the arm side, and according to the instructions, this should go like a little bit down under the arm and then curve down to like below the waist seam. This is the waistline, and meet up with the front along this line. So that will happen. This here is the back of the neck line on the coat. I only need one of these, and this is the back arm side of the coat. And apparently these bits are very important, otherwise the weight of everything in the front of the coat will sort of drag the coat forward and make it look very funky and not nice at all. So that bit is important. And then down here I have a strip that goes at the hem, the cuff of the sleeve. I'm also going to make some more like bias tape here to go around the hem of the coat, but I'm not going to bother doing that now. I also might make, I'm not sure, the instructions also tell me to, let's see here, I need to make this here from horsehair. I need to make some padding, and the padding is also going to be basted onto canvas. So I might just take this here and the back piece and make the canvas for the padding while we're at it. But it is also very late at night and I should be in bed, so we'll see. What do you think, Melvin? Do you think we should wait, or do you think we should keep going?
It's a new day. I'm not even going to tell you how late I stayed up. Yesterday I spent 8 hours cutting. That's the only thing I did. For 8 hours solid was cut what I hope is everything I need for this coat. But I did take my time with it because I wanted it to be right. So I will show you now what I have cut. So these are the coat pieces. This is what you will see. This is black wool. I also went in and I marked everything with a very visible basting thread. This one is like bright green. And for this is the collar, and that green line marks like the fold line, which means that's where the collar will sort of fold over. And it'll be like this. It's so easy to see, black on black, but you know. So I got all those pieces out, and then the tailoring manual told me to use the same pattern pieces to cut the linings, which I did. Linings for the pocket flaps, linings for everything else. It also told me to cut the lining a little bigger than the coat, which was like, it makes so much sense, but it's completely new to me. You want your lining to be a little bigger because you want it to be able to move around in your coat when you put it on and take it off, so it doesn't rip. To be fair, I think that's one of the problems with my old coat, because it has ripped down like the mid seam at the back. It's not even like, it's not the seam that is ripped, it's the fabric next to the seam that's kind of just fallen apart. This is now cut with 2 inches extra fabric at the back, and a little extra around all like seams, so it'll be a little baggy, but I think it'll be great. I've got here the sleeves, I've got the back piece, the side back and the side front. I have not got the front pieces because those I've cut out of the velvet. Because the front, I won't be lining the front because it'll be faced so that when the lapels are folded back you can see the velvet. So instead of lining, I got the velvet for that bit. And then came all the pieces that I showed you yesterday from the canvas. That took a lot of time because I had to actually make like not make new pattern pieces, but I had to adjust my pattern pieces to like work for this. So that took a little bit of time, but then what took even more time was this. Hang on. It's only 4 pieces, 2 tiny circles. That did not take much time. They have a radius of about 5 centimeters. And these are to be placed very fetching. This is basically to, I mean, to me this looks like the base of the sort of nipple tassels that burlesque dancers use. I don't want that, but this is actually to avoid the bust point of your coat kind of becoming pointy, doing the Madonna thing. We don't want that. We want it to be curved and rounded, so this will go onto the canvas pieces that I just showed you and be like stitched in, and then these again will be covered by these, which is it's this bit here. And this is where a lot of the shaping of the coat front will happen with this bit. This is horsehair canvas. This is for shaping, and then I have another thing for shaping. No, I'm not making a teddy bear, but it feels like it. So these bad girls are way too fluffy. Let me just say, they wouldn't look like that when they're finished. This is padding. The book told me to go for 5 layers. My padding is really, really thick, so I went with 3. I might actually remove 1 layer, but we'll see. This is placed like here, and the point of this is to fill in the gap that you'll have here, and it'll go all the way up, like, not sure I can, up to this bit here. So one of the first things I actually need to do is I need to go in and like pad stitch this down to a smoother and a little bit thinner, because it's not supposed to be this fluffy. It's supposed to be like a small bit of padding. Think shoulder pad, you know, instead of fluffy teddy bear. I've actually cut the 3 pieces in smaller and smaller sizes, so that you can get a very smooth like curve to them, so you don't get an abrupt like padding, 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 stop, you know. Oh, but the padding gets in my nose so badly. And in everything else, everything I own is now full of padding. I'm kind of looking forward to getting these things like done and away and into the coat. And then we have these, and these are kind of like shoulder pads. They are going to be placed like this. And according to the manual, that's because you want, there's going to be so much stuff in the coat. If you don't put something at like the border between the coat and the sleeve will look very like small and just sort of, you know, hanging a little limp. It'll look weird because there's such a big difference of stuff going on between the lining and the outer fabric. And a way to fix that is by using some small strips of padding to like just place them just here. These 2 I need to like pad stitch down a little, but I think they're good. Sorry. So according to my book, sorry I keep going in and out of camera here, but I have now done all the cutting. What it tells me to do now is I need to quilt the padding bits. That's fine. It also tells me to shape the back, where I will take the back of the coat and using water and steam and a hot iron actually like make it shrink a little bit just at the back, at the waistline, just right here, you know, that's where, just so it fits a little snugger to the body. It's a weird thing, I've never heard of it before, but we'll do that. And then it tells me to baste the sleeves, and then it actually wants me to do a first fitting. So I think that's my process now. I will pad stitch those, shape the back of the coat, and then baste the sleeves.